Hi, everyone. It's Kate Byers, founder of Corporate Women Unleashed. And today we're talking about burnout by industry. I don't know about you, but my background is in marketing. Been a corporate marketer for 25 plus years. And I started in advertising. Advertising was pretty brutal. I was working 80-hour weeks, Monday through Friday, 16-hour days with a kid. That was not easy. And then I thought, well, I'll go client side. Oh, client side is going to be so much easier. They don't work the long hours. Okay. Continued to work a lot of long hours. And the pace was really maybe not as brutal as advertising for me, but was still really intense. And so what I wanted to talk about today is your industry and some of the things we use as really, you're not going to like this, coping mechanisms to be working so hard. So for example, I used to say, and what I want you to do in the comments is tell me what industry you're in. Like, do you believe your industry is really tough? Like a lot of male dominated industries, right? Like we get a lot of women who are like, oh, I work in a male dominated industry. It's hard to have my voice heard. I have to explain things 3 times over. When I come up with the idea, nobody listens. And then a guy comes up with the idea and everybody's like, oh, that's brilliant. And, there's some challenges that can be inherent if you're in a culture that has normally been dominated by men. I get it. Or maybe you're a business owner, right? Like business owners have their own sort of coping mechanisms like, oh, if I don't do it, I'm the one who knows everything. I'm the one that does it better than everyone else. Nobody understands my business like me, right? And so you got business owners, you might be in healthcare, right? Like, what are you going to do when you literally have patients in front of you who need you, or the work you do as an administrator is impacting, the patient care? Can't walk away from that at the end of the day, right? And so I want you guys to just start like hearing what some of these things are that we come up with that block us from actually working more effectively. So put your industry in. Are you in healthcare? Are you in male dominated? Are you in biotech? Are you in technology? Oh my gosh, I work with India and then I work with, Asia. Oh, I'm surrounded by 2 ends of the spectrum. I'm working from 4 a.m. till midnight, right? For me, it was marketing. I kept saying, well, marketing's not black and white. I wish I was in accounting. Theirs is just numbers and figures. They just fill in the blanks, right? How easy is it? Which is not true. But, that was my thinking back then. It was like in marketing, you have a lot of cooks in the kitchen. Everybody wants to give an opinion about the color of the billboard or, what the creative brief says or how we're really going to position ourselves to the customer or what the product design looks like. Like, oh my God. And so it just was, not only do we have a lot of cooks in the kitchen when you're in marketing, but you also have really fast paced deadlines. You have, whether it's internal or external clients who change things at the last minute. And the solutions that marketers come up with, they're not always structured black and white solutions. It takes a lot of creativity, a lot of chewing on it, a lot of thinking about it, stretching, looking at things from different angles. And so I just kept throwing my hands up in the air and going, man, if I'm ever going to be successful as a marketer, this is what I have to do. I'm going to have to work 80-hour weeks for the rest of my life. That's exhausting. What kind of quality of life is this? Like, when does it get easy, right? And that's what we're all thinking about, because once you get to a level of success where, the title is good, the money is good, the work that you do is juicy and fun, it's fulfilling. You know what I mean? You're no longer just doing the drudgery of just like climbing up the ladder, right? Like I started at the copy machine, the glamorous world of marketing. Here, go make copies. So once you get beyond some of that, the expectation we have in our mind is it's going to be fun. It's going to be simpler. It's going to be easier. And it's not. We're still working a ton of hours to keep up because it's just like this, the way we've been working is just expanded, right? So is it possible in your industry to work more effectively? And the answer is yes, okay? But one of the things you have to start with, and we see this all the time, is you have to start with a belief that you can work more effectively, that you can change how you work in this environment despite what everyone else is doing. Despite the fact that you're the only girl, despite the fact that you're in marketing, despite the fact that you're in whatever, technology, despite the fact that you have people in India. Look, guys, we work with women across all of these different industries who literally have said, Kate, I'm ready to quit my job. Like, I can't do this one more day. I'm going to crash and burn. I'm destroying my family. I'm destroying my health. It's not worth it. And that's fine if you really want to stay at home with your kids, or you really want to go bake cookies for a living. Go do it. I'm so happy for you. Like, I think that's great. I've stayed home with my children before as a choice and I loved it. 2 years of mud pies and Legos, man, it was awesome. But if that's not something that you really want to do and you're walking away because you're exhausted, you're burnt out, it's too tough, you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, you don't want to spend another 20, 30 years working 80-hour weeks, then that's different. That is asking yourself this question: if it were possible to work differently and be more effective and have control over the chaos that is my work, is that worth it to me? And that is so important, because I think what we do a lot, and this is just human behavior, is if someone else can show me how and they can prove to me that it's not going to be too hard, I'd be willing to do it. It's kind of like going on a diet, right? Well, if my next door neighbor goes on a diet and he or she shows me that you could do it and it's not too painful, yeah, I might try it. You don't really want to lose weight. Do you know what I mean? You would like to if it's easy enough, but you really don't want to lose weight. Someone who wants to lose weight is like, I'm going to lose weight. I don't care what my next door neighbor's doing. I don't care what the trainer across the street's doing. I don't care what, the people at Beachbody are doing. I will figure out a way to no longer have this body and this weight. And I will stop at nothing until that is solved for, because I believe that I can lose weight and I can, be a lot healthier than I am, right? That is a belief and a decision. And so the biggest thing I see that holds a lot of women back is we don't have that belief. And it's not your fault. Okay. This has been given to you as a woman since a very young childhood, which is you can have it all. Oh, but you can't have it all. You need to do it all. Oh, but you can't do it all. You need to stack on more and more things on top of yourself, all the spinning plates. Oh, but don't you dare drop one. And so what's happened, ladies, is we've been given a culture of beliefs from a very young childhood that has said, you're supposed to go have it all, but you got to figure it out and don't you dare fail, right? And then we're sitting here all these years later going, well, what the hell? when do I have it all? So let's just take some of those things out of our vernacular. Let's just take all of that out of our language and have it all. What the hell does that mean? Like, whatever. You don't want it all. You want what you want. Like, let's just call it what it is. Like, your life needs to look the way you want it to. You want to experience it the way you want it to. And I don't know what that looks like for you, but it's going to be different than what mine looks like. And it's going to be different than, the woman sitting next to us looks like. But it probably has in it a feeling of peace, a feeling of calm, a feeling of I'm in control. Every day is not stressful and hell on wheels. A feeling of energy. I'm not depleted. I'm not feeling like I'm barely like crawling home every night or crawling into the weekend. I can go on vacation. I can enjoy a butterfly flying out my window and actually like sit and notice it. I can have a conversation with the people in my life that I love. And it's an intentional conversation. It's a joyful conversation. We're in the moment, we're laughing or we're serious or whatever it is, but you're there. You're not, a million miles away. Those are the type of things we're talking about, right? If that's what you call having it all, then great. Well, we can call it that. So you have to really decide though that is what you want, because 99.9% of women, what we're doing is we're just stepping back and we're saying, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to go work at a bakery. And sorry, if you're a bakery owner, that's not easy. I'm just using something that's playful. Like I'm just going to sit home and bake cupcakes all day, right? Or I'm just going to whatever. Like there's this fantasy that there's this easier thing. And truly there are. I mean, you can certainly step back in your career and do things that are less stressful. You can certainly choose occupations that are less stressful. And if those things fulfill you, they fulfill your potential, they fulfill your pocketbook, they fulfill the lifestyle you want, go for it. I mean, nobody said that you got to make millions of dollars to be happy. If those things are going to make you happy, but what women are doing is not doing those things because they make them happy. They're doing it because they're settling, right? And when we settle, we get wistful, we get resentful. We sit and go, I wonder what could my life have looked like if I'd gone for it? What would life have been like if I hadn't put 10, 15 years on hold? We've got client interviews. There's one in particular I know that's on our YouTube channel from a woman named Wendy who she did step back. She stepped back for, 5, 6 years while her kids were going through, I think, high school or whatever. And she's like, Kate, I didn't have to do that. Like, I didn't know until I started working with you that I didn't have to give up those years. Now, is she resentful that she did it or whatever? Probably not. Like, it was a great time with her kids, but she's like, Kate, I would have been so much farther along in my career now had I not done that. Right. And she can't get those years back in her career. It's wonderful that she did that with her children. And she did the only thing she knew how to do. Right. So that's the type of thing that as women, like, girls, come on. Like, if that's not what you want to do, then know it, define it, decide it. It's always starts with a belief and a decision. So if your belief it's not possible, then it won't be, because you'll never go looking for the true answer, right? If your belief is that only happens to people who aren't in marketing or people who aren't in male dominant cultures, or, all these things we're talking about, people outside your industry, because you don't have a lot of role models in your industry, which hint you won't, because there's not a lot of women who have actually figured this out, then of course you will never go for it, right? Because your belief is it can't happen. But what if you chose a new belief? What if you chose a belief that says, okay, there's not a lot of people in my industry who do this. I'm going to be one of the first. What if you chose to be the trailblazer that said, I'm going to figure this out? What if you chose to be one of the small but growing percentage of women who said, I think there is a new way, and we can trailblaze a new way where we're not trapped, where we're not sitting here complaining, where we're not giving up, where we're not settling, but we're like, no. We are going to learn a new way to work, and we can demonstrate and show everybody else, even the guys, a new way to work, because, well-being is not just something that a woman's looking for. Guys are looking for it too. Guys are in unhappy marriages. Guys are missing out on their children's childhood. Guys are missing out on, things that really fulfill them, and they're holding themselves back a lot of times too. It's just not as prevalent. You don't see it as much because we're coming out of decades of where, the man goes off to work and the woman stays home. And we're still, really in that, like we're still in that sort of genre of thinking in our culture, right? So it's not just endemic to women, guys are seeing it too. And when you start behaving differently in your office, and you start changing the paradigm, and you start changing how people work, and you start changing how you evaluate and look at objectively how to get work done, and you're effective and influential, the whole company starts to change. We see it over and over again with the clients we work with, and that's pretty cool. And it doesn't matter if you're a senior manager or CEO. That's the other fallacy. The belief is, well, I have to be the CEO to create change. No, you don't. You can change your area. You can change how you work. Your boss will react to you differently. If you have direct reports, they will react differently. Your colleagues will. You change you, and the people around you change. But it starts with your belief. And then you have to make a decision, because I can believe all day long that, I can believe that humans can fly. But that doesn't mean I could fly, because I haven't made a decision to go learn how to do that, right? And so then you have to have a decision that this makes a difference for you. And clients will ask me all the time, they're like, Kate, what put you on this trajectory? Like, what got you to study human behavior, figure this out, and not give in? And I said, and I was like, I don't know. I wanted what I wanted. Like, I just wasn't going to live on my knees anymore and constantly be exhausted and suffering and 15 pounds overweight and grouchy with my family. But I didn't want to, and then I gave it all up. Obviously, I did walk away, and I was like, well, this isn't making me happy. I'm just not going to live my life miserable. I'm not going to live my life with regret. I think a big influence for me, obviously, was my mom had passed away when I was 20 from cancer. And I thought, well, gosh, she left a lot of living on the table. She had regret. There was a lot of things she never got to do because she made this trade-off between motherhood and her career. And I was like, hell's bells, I'm not doing that, and it's not because I don't adore my family and my children. I do. They're my priority. So it's my career. My career is really important to me. I know I'm someone capable of fulfilling a need in our society in a big way. And it's fun and it's creative and I love it. And I love making money and I love having the lifestyle that comes with that. And I love the freedom that comes with that. And I love the creativity that comes with that. And I love the cool people I get to work with who are high functioning and high performing. Like, that's what I wanted. And so I was like, I'm just not going to sit here and settle for anything else. I will never be happy just going to work, coming home and, going to the local baseball game or something. Like, is that fun to do sometimes? Sure. But it's also fun to come home late after some kick-ass series of meetings, knowing that you've slayed it at work and, coming in hot to dinner and having a fabulous dinner with my family and, you know, canoodling with my husband and putting my kids to bed. Like, that's fun too. And maybe I did miss the softball game. You know, I don't have regret over that. It's a matter of, is the ecosystem of my life fulfilling? Am I doing all of these things in a combination that makes me feel fulfilled and that I'm living my best life? But that has to start with a belief and then followed by a decision. It's the same thing with dieting, right? You have to have a belief that you're capable of losing weight and that it matters to you. And that's what you want. You want to be whatever, a healthier, slimmer, blah, blah, blah version of yourself. And then you have to decide you're going to do it. Not, oh, I'll do it next January. Well, I'll do it in the spring. Well, I'll do it right before summer. Oh crap, summer's over. Miss bathing suit weather. Now I'm going to do it in the fall. Well, before the holiday. You know what I mean? Like, we just keep putting off the decision. A decision is emphatic. This is the decision. We're going to go this way and we're going to go in this direction and make it so. And I will say that's probably one of the most critical aspects that we've learned years and years after working with clients is the difference between a client saying, yes, I'm ready to do this, is a decision that that's what they want in their life. There can be fear around it. There can be risk around it. There can be like, oh my God, is this going to work? I mean, there was certainly no guarantees in the path I took. I mean, I was like, you know, whatever, what do you call it? Like with a machete whacking my way through like, you know, uncharted bush. There was no one for me to really talk with and figure this out. There were no role models. There was anyone who figured it out. You know, we would find someone who was a badass female executive and yet her quality of life was not so great. Her health was not so great, you know, and then you'd find someone else who maybe had great health and great marriage, but they had held themselves back in their career. And so I was constantly looking for like, where's the role model? And that wasn't out there for me. So I was like, well, I got to figure it out because there's a few people who seem to be having fun and they're well off. How do I be like them? So you really, really, really have to be inspired and want that. You have to want it for your family. You have to want it for yourself, the belief, and then the decision. And that's the biggest piece. And so when people say to me, like, how do high performing women, you know, avoid burnout and really continue to love their career, you know, even though it's very high stress, it's in these different cultures and these environments, which aren't easy. And I'm like, well, they've made a decision that that's what they're going to do. They have made a decision that they're not going to accept a trade-off or a compromise, and they're going to live well, but they're not going to let go of their career. And so that's where it begins. And then from there comes the solution. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So I challenge you guys all to think about that and really think about what's important to you and what you're leaving on the table in either case so that you can have a very clear decision and a belief about what you want. And if that belief and that decision is, yes, that is what I want to have an incredible career, but I want an incredible personal life. I do not want to sacrifice or trade one for the other. Then I encourage you to watch one of our free trainings and then book a call, like learn a little bit more about what we do and then book a call with our team and let's see where you're at. We are happy to tell you if where you're at in your career is something we can help you with. If not, we'll get you another resource or send you to someone else who can. But if what we do is right for you, then, you know, let's have a great phone call, 45 minutes to an hour, and get you sorted and, you know, see where you're at and we can help you with that. Cool?